What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the Timeless Gallery, and today I want to talk about temperatures. What is temperature? Well, I'm going to explain to you the definition, where the word comes from, and some examples of it. Okay, so here we go. Temperature is the degree of intensity of heat that is present in a substance or object. Okay, now, and you express it through a scale, like a thermometer. Okay, the word thermometer means heat measure. Thermo means heat. Meter means measure. Heat measure. Okay. Now, what's funny is the origin of the word is Latin. Okay. Temporare. Okay. It means to restrain. Restrain means to hold back. So, in essence, temperature means the amount of heat that is held back or restrained in an object. It's kind of cool, huh? Now, temperature is measured in its degrees of hot and cold, but those are relative terms. For an essence, when someone says room temperature, which they call it 72 degrees, or oh, here one. If you were to touch a dead body and you say it feels cold to you, in actuality, it's not cold. It's actually room temperature. So why would you call something that's room temperature cold? Well, you call it cold because you're comparing it by the temperature of your own body. The human body, the human living body is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. It's hot. Okay? So anything you touch that is below that feels cold to you. But it's actually room temperature. Now, there are ways we have different ways of measuring heat. You have Fahrenheit, Celsius, or Kelvin. We in the United States measure heat through Fahrenheit. The rest of the world deals with Celsius or Kelvin. Okay? Like you have, let's say if you were to have 0 degrees Fahrenheit, which is equal with 0 degrees Celsius, which is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so 32 degrees Fahrenheit is equal to 0 degrees Celsius. Now, let's say we would have 0 degrees Fahrenheit, which is cold, very, very cold. That's sub-zero, subarctic, or sub-freezing. Because the freezing point of water is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius. So if you have 0 degrees Fahrenheit, that is below freezing, really below freezing. Then if you were to have 0 degrees Celsius, still cold. But if you had 0 degrees Kelvin, that's different. That's a different level of cold right there. But let's see. Then you have what's called absolute zero. Absolute zero is 0 Kelvin. And with Fahrenheit and Celsius, you deal with degrees. With Kelvin, you just say Kelvin. So you don't say 0 degrees Kelvin. You just say 0 Kelvin. Okay? You say 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius, but you do not say degrees Kelvin. You don't. Okay? Absolute zero. Absolute zero is when is theoretically the lowest temperature you can have. Okay, it's the lowest temperature you can have. And at that point, it is said that all molecular movement stops. Is all molecular movement stops, because even if something is cold, there's still molecular movement. The molecules still vibrate, just slowly. Okay, but when you reach 0 Kelvin, absolute zero, all molecular movement stops. Okay, that's the coldest. That's the coldest theoretical temperature we can have that can be experienced. Can we go colder than that? I don't know. Probably to find it like in a machine we can go colder than that, like a lab where they could do that. But naturally, it's close you can get. Now, that absolute 0 Kelvin is equivalent to 273 0.15 degrees Celsius, and in Fahrenheit is negative. That's right. 0 Kelvin is equal to negative 273.15 degrees Celsius. Negative. That's way on the number line. Fahrenheit, you have negative 459.67 degrees Fahrenheit. That's absolute zero. Just take a moment and just think about that for a while. Can you imagine something that cold? Can you imagine going outside in absolute zero weather? Just take my coat and just you die. You die. You dead. But that usually, and also here's something cool with heat. Heat naturally goes from hot to cold. Naturally. So if you were to set something on fire, unless there is a constant supply of heat, it will eventually go from hot to cold. You ever turn on the stove for a while, then you turn it off? It's hot first, then it goes to cold. Okay? In order to go from cold to hot, you need to add something. You add heat to maintain or increase the temperature. But naturally, it always goes from hot to cold. Always. So you can touch something hot, keep it there, and then it go back to cold. Happens all the time. And that's basically how temperature works. That's pretty much what temperature is. Everything has a certain level of heat. Okay, you can go from absolute zero all the way to supernova. Like in between, in between those two, absolute zero, like supernova or a sun, a star or something. Is the degrees are so wide. Excuse me. That to tell you what goes in between is just nuts. Okay, so that's usually how it goes. That's how temperature goes. Temperature pretty much is a measurement of the intensity of heat in an object or a substance. That's all. And you measure it by a thermometer. Like I said, thermo means heat. And when someone says a thermostat, like someone go to school have like a thermostat mug, it's simply to keep in whatever temperature is inside. Thermo means heat. So thermostat, thermometer. So this thermo means, yeah. And also temperature. It comes temperature. Like I say, it temporary means to restrain. That's where you get the word temper from. Someone says they have a bad temper. Like when someone has a bad temper, say, "Oh, he's hot-headed. He has a bad temper." Remember I said hot-headed, bad temper. Okay, just think about that. Right. So that's all I got for now. I'll hit with y'all more. Catch you all later. Peace.